I have a gentleman with me who is going to share his musical journey with us. And I can't wait to hear what his music vocation, avocation, and all that stuff in between. So let's go ahead and get started. So, sir, hello, hello, hello. What is
Hello, Rhonda.
Hello. What is your name and what instruments do you play? Because I know you play more than one.
My name is Roger Len Smith, and I play the guitar, the bass guitar, the piano, the harmonica, and I sing, and even dibble and dabble a little bit in percussion and drums.
That's awesome. When did you learn to play those instruments?
Oh, and I play a little mandolin too, so stringed instruments. When did I learn to play?
Yes.
Okay, so I started when I was around 8 years old. I started on piano, which I highly recommend. I think that's the best instrument to start if you want to be a musician, or even if you just want to be able to play something a little bit. So
Right.
piano was what I started on, third grade, and then it wasn't until later in high school, like almost the end of high school, senior year, that I picked up guitar, and I picked up the acoustic guitar first. Learned that pretty well. The first 2 years of playing guitar, I just played it every day, probably a couple hours a day, almost even more, and I became pretty proficient at it pretty quick because I played it so much. And then I picked up the bass guitar in college, maybe second year of college, so 2 or 3 years after learning guitar.
So actually, when did you squeeze in the harmonica?
Yeah, the harmonica I would have first started messing around with the harmonica in that, probably not till college, probably the first year or two of college, because I was playing acoustic guitar. And when you play acoustic guitar and if you're by yourself, you just play the chords, which is a rhythm thing. And you can't really accompany, you can't really put a lead or a part in there. That's a melodic part other than singing. So harmonica is a natural thing to be able to do while you're playing guitar or even bass. So I would say in college, I started the harmonica, but I didn't really get proficient or very good at the harmonica till maybe a couple of years out of college, when I was really playing a lot of shows, gigging and playing stuff with the acoustic guitar.
That's cool. So why did you choose those particular instruments? Like, what possessed you to choose guitar, piano, harmonica, mandolin?
Well, this might answer another question, but the piano, I was really young, 8 years old, but my older brother, who's 4 years older, he was already an amazing piano player at age like 11 or 12. And so he encouraged me to take piano lessons from his first teacher, which I did for like 3 or 4 years, probably 4 years. And that helped, and it stayed with me. So he was kind of the reason why and the inspiration. But also, I always knew that I loved music, because I remember just from my earliest memories having music around the house. My older brothers were into it. My parents were really into classical music and opera. And I became a big, huge Beatles fan at a very young age.
Oh, cool.
And of course, that stayed with me the whole time. And, I just always wanted to be able to play something. Plus, I just knew that I was going to play music. Even I didn't know I was going to be a musician, but
Right.
I definitely had the urge to learn. And so piano, as tricky as it was and hard as it was at the beginning, was good to start on. And I was happy that I was able to learn pretty well. And then guitar, everything kind of just came after that. It's like,
Right.
I remember I had this gap from taking piano lessons at 8, maybe through age 12 to probably 16, 17 before I started playing guitar. So it was 4 or 5 years, and it built up inside me. I was listening.
So your brother was an inspiration for you to start your entire musical career. And it sounds like you're going into your journey. So musically, what's your journey from starting piano at 8 o'clock, watching your older brother play, until where you are right now? Briefly explain your journey.
Well, I was, encouraged by him to learn piano. And then I started playing piano in 3rd, 4th grade, like show and tell, at school. And I'd play like every other Friday. We'd have show and tell, and people bring stuff in. I'd just go and play a song on the piano. And then they eventually started having me play at all the pageants. I remember playing at the Christmas pageant in 6th grade, where I played piano on a bunch of Christmas carols. I sang in the choir, and they even had me play like a simple little original instrumental song I'd written on piano. So I was like the star of the 6th grade Christmas pageant.
So cool. Wow. Your name in lights.
It was weird. It freaked me out, because it was like, everybody was like, "You're the greatest."
That's pretty cool though.
Yeah, it was fun.
Well, share a time musically when you were challenged and had to dig down deep to, for that perseverance and resilience in order to overcome and prevail a difficult situation.
Well, the last year, every day. Okay.
Choose a particular golden moment.
Yes, kids, it's been a pandemic here too. Yeah, or just maybe the bigger challenge I've probably had is when I moved to California to play music and to be in the art and the entertainment community and industry. I was playing bass guitar for one of my very best friends who is a singer-songwriter. He ended up getting a record contract, and we made records and we toured the country many times. We toured the world, and it was all very fun. And that was great. That was in the 90s. But at the same time, it's super hard. It's a really difficult industry. And we had like 3 or 4 years, a really good time, but playing music on the road, getting paid, making records, even for about maybe 2 years, maybe 2.5, 3 years. As a single man in my 20s, mid 20s, I was making a living playing music. So it was good for a little while. Yeah. But that record deal ended. And then he went off and started his family, and he was playing, but not nearly as much. And I'm in LA, right? And I'm sitting there trying to figure out what I'm going to do. So I did a lot of stuff, played a lot of music, and played with other people, but it became very difficult. So I decided to pack up and move to Austin, which is where I met you. And, I moved to Austin because I needed to play music. And the challenge of being in Los Angeles, being in California then, and certainly now, is that there's not as many places to play. There's not as many gigs that'll even just pay you something. Yeah. So the challenge was like, how am I going to make a living to playing music? Went empty.
Yes, I've heard your groups play. I've heard you have the Roger Len Band, which you had a bigger group of people. And I've heard the Roger Len Smith Trio, which is just 3 of you. And then you've done acoustic guitar by yourself doing a solo. So you had quite a few,
options. Yeah.
Yeah, quite a few options. That was great. And let me tell you, those are some awesome shows. Oh, I love them. So
we had fun in Austin.
Yes, we did. We did. I really enjoyed it. So if you had an opportunity to do something differently musically, what would it have been?
Musically?
Yes.
Well, possibly just a different instrument, and also recording being a recording engineer or working in a studio, because that is a way, if you can become a good engineer and know how all the buttons work and all the cables and all the equipment, then you can actually, if you work hard enough, and again, it's competitive, but if you work hard enough, you could actually maybe find a job working at a studio in the industry, whether it's California or New York or Nashville. Those are the main hotspots. But Austin, I've got friends in Austin that work at recording studios. Not a lot of them, but enough of them to know that you can do that. So maybe that, although I'm much more a performer. As you know, I like to write music. I like to perform music.
Yeah.
So I don't know, maybe if I had done it differently, maybe pick a different position. I'm actually working a little bit part-time right now with a management company, managing some other artists. Okay. So that's another thing, is that you can work as booking agencies or management firms, record companies. I worked at record companies for a while. And so I've actually done probably 25 different jobs in the music industry.
That's awesome. That's pretty cool. I like how you're working in the booking part. On the managing aspect, what do you mean by that? Are you like a talent buyer or promoter, or you're just booking agent type situation, or tour manager, artist manager? Like, what do you mean by that specifically?
Well, okay. So management specifically deals just as a manager for a specific artist. Okay. So the management company or the management team will represent said artist in every aspect of their career. They're not the ones that are handling the booking of gigs and concerts necessarily, but they're the ones who approve it. They go to the artist and say, you got an offer for this concert or this show, do you want to do it? And then so the management company literally and same with the movies and actors and even sports figures, they literally manage their client, their artist client, to help them get their work done.
So they do the business aspect of it, so the artist can focus on just playing music, being
an artist. Yeah.
Right. Okay, that's really cool.
That's what management does. Booking agents booking agencies typically just book shows or appearances.
Right.
And then there's publicity firms.
Right.
Record companies have a little bit of everything, but
Right.
their job is to help fund the recording of a song or an album, and then to help promote it and get it out there to the world.
Right.
So there's a lot of variety of stuff to do. There's plenty of people in the music industry that can't play music, you know.
Right.
They're business people, right?
Yeah, and there's a lot of wonderful jobs there as well. Definitely, definitely. So what advice would you give to a young musician starting off in middle school? You know, it doesn't matter if it's band, choir, orchestra, guitar, piano.
The number one thing I would just say is simply follow your passion. If you're really attracted to an instrument, if you know that you want to play saxophone or trumpet or drums, go for it. Just do it. And it doesn't even matter if you're great or good or terrible. If you're just playing and creating music and sound, or creating anything, a poem, you've created something that didn't exist before that. And it gives you a sense of accomplishment, of reward, especially if you do take it seriously and get better and better at it. And then it becomes subjective because you have to decide if you like what you're doing. But I would suggest to any young musician, you know, find what instrument you really like, and don't just try one, try a bunch. You know, I'm a guitar player. I started on piano, but I also am a professional bass player because I've been playing bass for a bunch of different artists throughout my career. And pardon me, the bass is the bottom four strings of a guitar, you know. Yes. And lower octaves, of course. And then, you know, and so for me, I'm like a sort of a multi-instrumentalist. I'm like I can be a sideman, a backup musician, or a front person. And, you know, you just have to figure out what drives you. Where's your passion? Do you like to sing? Well, then get better at singing, practice singing, learn how to sing harmony, learn how to sing with your friends. Mm-hmm. You know, learn how recording studios work and how you record a song. There's so much to learn. So if you love music, you just have to dive into it in any way. When I moved to Austin, I literally told myself, I'm just going to dive into the scene, just immerse myself in the scene and see what happens. You know,
Jimmy Spencer spoke about being a sideman. Can you briefly describe what a sideman is? What does that mean?
Yeah. Okay. So sideman or woman is a musician typically that would back up an individual artist. So you have a band called the Police, right? Well, they were a band. Well, then you have the lead guy from that band, Sting. Well, he went out as just Sting. So the artist is just him, not all three of the guys that were in the Police. So it's a solo artist like Michael Jackson or Taylor Swift or Lady Gaga. They're individual artists where they're just the one person, but then they have a team, right? Depending who it is. Like Taylor and Lady Gaga have a huge team because they're big, huge pop stars. But, you know, rock and guys and country guys and ladies have less big of a team, but they still have a team. So they have their people that help them get their work done and help them become an artist. But then you have to have a band. Right. So basically, when you say sideman or side musician, backing, it's the same thing as saying a backing musician. And you're typically just talking about the band. So like Casey Musgraves is a country artist singer, but she has a band. And so the band behind her is the backing band, or the side guys are the side gals. And also, when you're when you're a session musician, which is what somebody does as a recording person, or when you're on tour with somebody or playing a live show, you're hired to play for that artist, that you're just considered a side person because you're just in the backing band. So
you're not permanent. Yeah. Like that person's not permanent. They're just like in that city, they're going to hire that side person play.
Well, no, they could be permanent. They could absolutely be permanent. You could be Sting's drummer for 30 years and you're still considering, he may treat you great and you're his main drummer, but you're still a side person, which is also usually enables that drummer or that musician to be a free agent. So unless you have like an exclusive thing, like my buddy Rami, I think I mentioned him, he played with the Wallflowers. He was a member of the band. Well, then he got hired by the Foo Fighters to be like a side man in the Foo Fighters. Well, about 4 years ago, they made him an official member. So he's gone back and forth from being a band member to a side musician. And, you know, when you're a side person, like I said, usually you're a free agent, you can do other stuff. But if you're really important to that band, then they will just find a way to keep you on retainer, which means they can call you anytime they want and say, I need you here tomorrow or whatever.
Right. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. So you kind of touched upon it, but what is your vocation and your avocation officially in music?
Well, my vocation is as a singing a singer-songwriter and performing musician.
Okay.
So I'm a singer-songwriter. I perform my own songs, but I also perform other songs, like my favorite cover songs that I think I can do well. And so that's my vocation: singing, writing songs, playing guitar, playing bass guitar. Those are the main things. To a less extent, piano. I still play piano, and harmonica. Those are the things I would consider my vocation, because that's what I do full time, and I've spent years, decades doing. So I'm pretty proficient at them. But my avocation would be something like drums, where I'm just an average drummer. I'm just okay. I would never consider myself at this time to be good enough of a drummer to go out and play, any more than a song or two live, and certainly not in front of a big crowd unless I really practice. So I'm planning to work on it. Maybe in a year, I would say, okay, my vocation includes drums, but for now, it's just avocation. And in relation to that, I have a desire to learn like some horns, or especially maybe violin. I've messed around a little bit on that. I mentioned mandolin, which I've only just started playing.
Yeah.
And so those will hopefully become part of my palette, but at the same time, avocation. And same with like writing songs. I'm a good songwriter. I'm a good lyricist, but poetry is another thing that I have a desire for. And I would consider that an avocation, because I have only dibbled and dabbled in that a little bit,
Right.
So, and other things too. But I would say for now, drums and other instruments that I'm just not as good at,
That's wonderful. And no, students, mandolin is not Star Wars. It is a stringed instrument. All right. So where do you go from here? Briefly share your musical ambition for your next journey in life.
Oh, that's a good one. I think in my case, it's both more of the same and a combination of what I've just started to do. Like I mentioned, the management company that my friend started, and I'm working with him, and we're hoping that his company will take off enough in the next couple of years where we can actually work full time, for the company, or enough to make, something of a living. So I would say that where I go from here is to continue doing that, and to continue writing my songs, and getting better at just being everything that I do. And that really starts with songwriting. So continuing my songwriting and performing. I've always felt, even though I've been doing this 30 years, I really truly feel like I've never been better. Like I get better every year.
Right. It's a continuously learning process.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Definitely.
Yeah.
That is wonderful.
And in relation, I want to get better at piano. I'm okay at it. I started on it, but I want to get much better at it. So
I know what you mean.
Goals.
I know. I got my piano sitting over there waiting for me to play it. My guitar is back there waiting for me to play it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a continuous process of learning throughout your entire life, and the music never stops.
The music never stops.
Never stops. Never stops.
Yep.
Well, those are all the questions I have for you. That's wonderful. Gosh, did you want to play a little tune for us, or are you good?
Oh, sure. If you want me to, I hope I didn't go on too long with some of these answers.
Cool.
All right. So I'm going to sneak down to the basement where I was the other day. And do you want me to play the same song? Want me to do anything? What do you think?
Any song you want. I love the horsey song, but what she really wants to do is ride wild horses. But
wait a minute. I think maybe that's what I did play, right?
You did play that one. It was great. Yes. You have so many wonderful songs.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay, I will head to the basement and play one short song. Okay.
I'm gonna pass the kids and kind of let me see them for a sec so I can say hi again. Hey kids. Hi. Zoe. Hi Xander.
I'll be back in 5 minutes.
Hey guys.
All right. Can you see it?
I can see your guitar. Yes. Okay. Yep. There you go. Perfect.
Let me just make sure I tune. Okay. I'll do the horsey song. All you can get my harmonica. Will that work for you?
It's perfect. I don't know how you do that. I don't know how you do the harmonica at the same time you play the guitar. It's amazing.
Okay, here we go. She was a record company publicist, working like a dog in the valley, trying to push records she didn't even like, much less care about. She was paid to go to shows and act like it was all cool. That's what the music biz people do. She took me out to lunch once, yes, and there she told me she doesn't need no IRA or a rival to join forces. What she really wants to do is ride horses, to ride horses. So she moved to Tennessee and saved up to buy a pony. The music biz didn't matter to her. It all seemed so phony. And unlike everyone, she wasn't always trying to get ahead. Little things matter, that's what she said. She threw her phone out the window. I think I heard it hit the ground. She doesn't need no IRA. The door says what she really wants to do is ride horses, to ride horses. I think about her once in a while right now on the open land. Nothing between her and the setting sun. Arms outstretched, she's a feeling no pain, no damn deadlines to meet, no ads to place, no interviews to set up. And I don't think she misses it for one moment. She loves to feel the wind blow, doesn't even know where her Porsche is. It's what she really wants to do is ride horses, to ride horses. What she really wants to do is ride horses, to ride horses. What she rides horses, 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 she rides horses. She rides horses, she loves to ride horses.
Awesome. It really sounds like you can hear the cowboy thing, especially when the lower strings, big time. I love that. That's really cool. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
I appreciate everything, and we'll have to, when you come down to Austin and Houston, I'll be there. Just let me know. Okay.
Sure.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Smith. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay, bye.